Hello, I'm Nick. In this video I will share best practices for creating CLAUDE file for Claude Code. But first, let's discuss what CLAUDE is. CLAUDE is a file for providing project-specific context to Claude Code. Whenever Claude AI model writes or modifies existing code in your project, the first thing it will do is check the CLAUDE file. The file is typically placed in the root folder of your project. For example, if you're working with the React web app, you should have this structure. And the file itself is structured in Markdown format. MD stands for Markdown. The good news is that you don't need to create CLAUDE from scratch. When you are in directory of your project, you can run init command. Claude will scan the entire project codebase and generate MD file for you. It will include all essential details, such as project architecture, conventions in this file, so you don't have to provide these things manually. But you should always treat the CLAUDE file that Claude Code generates for you only as a first draft. There is a high chance the file will miss important sections, so it's a good idea to refine it based on the following guide. And now let's dive into the best practices. Every project is different, and it's impossible to provide one-fits-all structure for CLAUDE file, but it's still possible to name 10 key sections that will be relevant to most projects. And the first section is Project Overview. This is the highest value section that creates context for Claude. In this section, you should explain in plain language what the project is, who is it for, and the most important business or UX constraints. Try to keep this to a few paragraphs. And here is an example for your reference. Next comes Tech Stack. This section prevents a load of bad assumptions. Without this section, Claude may introduce libraries that are technically valid but wrong for your project. State the actual technologies in use, such as frameworks, programming languages, styling systems, and so on. Also include what not to use. Next is the architecture. This is where you teach Claude how the repository is organized. You need to describe major directories, responsibilities of each area, data flow, where new code should go. Next is coding conventions. Along with project overview, I think this is the second most important section in the whole file, because it has direct impact on the quality of the code output produced by Claude. And you need to include anything that impacts day-to-day code generation in this section. Moving next, UI and design system rules. For front-end projects like websites, this section is pure gold. You can define here visual styles, spacing philosophy, typography approach, interaction patterns, responsiveness, and accessibility expectations. Moving next, content and copy guidance. This section is vital, especially for landing pages and product work, because content is king. State how copy should sound, concise or detailed, technical or plain language, aspirational or practical. Section number 7. Testing and quality bar. Claude should know how finished work is validated. Define what tests to add, when tests are required, and what done actually means for Claude. Moving next, file and content placement rules. This section is especially useful in mature repositories, because duplicate components become a problem fast. You need to define rules for when to create new file, when to edit existing files, when to create abstractions, as well as naming patterns. Moving next, save change rules. Very valuable for real projects. It's a good idea to tell Claude what it should avoid changing casually. It will reduce technically smart, but operationally risky edits that will lead to expensive refactorings. Finally, specific commands. Anthropic recommends giving Claude a concrete project context, and commands are part of this operational context. Add the actual commands Claude should use, and of course, only include commands that are real and current. And here is a quick preview of how CLAUDE will look like for a web project, landing page, crafted with the React framework. As you can see, this file was built on top of the original draft that Claude created for us, but it's way more detailed and sophisticated. Finally, as a rule of thumb, I suggest keeping the CLAUDE file under 200 lines, because it will make the file scannable and easier for humans to read. And that's all. Let me know what you think about the structure of CLAUDE MD file that I shared with you in the comments. Thank you.